So I just bought this 1960 four-door flat-top Impala. It doesn't run, it doesn't drive, it hasn't drove in 10 or more years. I flew back here to Wallington, New Jersey to pick this cool old cat up, but the thing about it is, I live in Tucson, Arizona. That's at least 2,500 miles away. I don't know a ton of history about this vehicle. What I do know is that he bought it from a dealership down in Florida, and he had it shipped up here to New Jersey to work on it and restore it, but he never did. He never did anything to the motor, never tried to see if it would run, never did anything to the drivetrain. So this drivetrain is truly unknown condition. But I'm a little anxious about this trip. Also pretty excited because this car is right up my alley. The 50s and early 60s is my absolute favorite era of cars in this country. The most beautiful cars that were ever made, in my opinion, were made from 1950 to like 1963. So first off, looking at this car, I really love this body style of the car. They had the two-door sedan, which had a post in the middle. They had two-door hardtops. They had four-door sedans. They had four-door hardtops, and they had convertibles, and they also had the El Camino, which was the truck version. This is a four-door hardtop, flat top. I really like these flat tops. I really like how these windows curve. They give that real panoramic feel. It's just so space age. It's so of the time. And the front windshield too, how it curves. I love that. What drew me to this car was the completeness of it. I love seeing complete cars. I say that in all my videos because when you see stuff mangled up, messed up, missing, that's evidence of a struggle. Maybe they found a problem that you will find once you dig into it. So I like to see completion and originality. Paint looks pretty original. I can see some body filler right here. This is Bondo, so somebody tried to do body work, I think. But the quarter panel though is solid. Anyway, coming back around here, we are missing a few things. We're missing this trim right here, maybe in the trunk, I don't know, we'll have to dig into that. And also my lenses, so we'll have to figure out what's going on with that. But the bumper though, the bumper is nice and straight. We got the balance panels down here that always rot out, and those are okay. Those look pretty decent. You know, you can't buy this stuff, and when you find it and it's like in good shape and actually usable and repaintable, that's really good. All the trim is there for the back window, all the way down the side. I mean, even down to the Impala emblem, the checkered flag, the spear, the door handles, all the trim that goes around the windows. And these babies right here, these I don't see that often, and usually they're gone. So I think those are worth something to have on the car. No hubcaps. I mean, these wheels look like they're original to this car, but I really would like to have the hubcaps. That would be cool. And coming around to the front, check it out. I just love these front ends. They look so timeless to me, you know, they just look so good. Chevy really hit the nail on the head, in my opinion, with these designs. They don't look too bulky, they just look just right, you know. Chevrolet on the hood, all the letters are there. We got a little bit of a chinger right here. We got the spot for the license plate. We got these valance panels down here with the lenses and the lights. All the tires are seeming to hold air. I don't know how old these tires are, but they're holding air. I don't know what the date code is on these. Oh wait, here we go. No, that ain't right. 14-inch tires. I wish it was 15s, but oh well. Let's see. That means 5 of 12. I don't know. Could be from 2012. All I know is these tires are old, because you can see right here. See how they're dry rotting and cracking? That's not good. You cannot go 2,500 miles on that. You're asking for it. Another thing that drew me to this, it seems dumb, but the windshield is not broken. These windshields are expensive. They're $500 or $600, and the gasket is another few hundred. So if you did it yourself, you're looking at $700-800. So the fact that this windshield is here and not busted, and the back one, that really means a lot to me, in my opinion. This being broke is not a big deal because it's flat. I mean, I don't really care. Flat glass is easy. They can cut that into any shape, but you can't cut that in. You cannot cut a flat piece of glass into that shape, you know? We got the peeper mirror. Oh yeah, baby. We got our peeper mirror going on. Oh, what's this sticker? What's this? Georgia State Patrol, 79 and 80. March of 79 and 80. Motor vehicle safety. Oh, inspection. It's an inspection sticker. This was not a part of the State Patrol. You know what that means? Easy eye, safety plate, easy eye glass. That was a factory option you could buy. This is green hued glass. The glass itself is actually green, and it's meant to reflect or refract UV lights to make it easier on your eyeballs when you're driving. Yeah, let's check out the inside of this thing. Oh, we got a sticker here. What is this? Golf. I always love seeing these old stickers, you know, like dates of when it was serviced. Any pencil marks are gone now, but I don't know, this was serviced by Gulf somewheres. And you can see these stickers have came off. See these spots here where there would have been stickers, service stickers and stuff. It's looking like we got manual seats, no power seats, but the dash is like so clean, not in bad shape at all. Let me get in here real quick. Oh. So we got our wipers. I think they're electric. I'm not sure what this button does, but they might be electric. Got our lights, we got our gauges are all in it. Look at those beautiful gauges. PRNDL, so there's no D2 and L. So this is a 2-speed. It's probably a power glide, more than likely. Got our key switch. I don't have keys for this car, but you know, I don't need them, I guess. Yeah, it feels hooked up to the transmission. It's even got a radio. Look at that. Usually these are there's an actual wire that hooks to a wheel that hooks to your station, and then usually they freeze up so you can turn this, but you won't see this move. So the fact that that's moving, that's not bad. That's a pretty good sign. We might get lucky and that radio will work. Got an ashtray, missing the little sticky thing. Oh well. Looks like here's our wipers and some old belts. Maybe those will fit, I don't know. Manual windows, no power windows, no power seats. Dome lights in it. Back seat. What is that? Oh man. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the hubcaps. Yes. Those are gonna look so good on here. Look at these rockers, looking so good. They always go right here. So, floor okay. I mean, at least this one looks all right. I'll have to check out the other ones, but this thing's so low to the ground I can hardly even get under here. This used to be a wasp's nest, a pretty big one, but not no more. So the trunk is pretty much gone. We got rot holes. You know, oh well, no big deal. But we have, let's see, we need 6 lenses total. So, oh, I don't want to lose these screws. Do not want to lose those. Alright, so we have a red, a white, a couple more screws, reverse 2, we're missing 1. But hey, these lights, they go right here. So the lights go here and the lenses go over them, so that's pretty good. I'm glad those are all in there, the housings. We'll have to get a test light when we get to putting a battery in it and see if we got power. We even got the gaskets. These are the gaskets for the lights. Nice. Not totally sure what these are. I don't know. Here's a spare tire screw, but that's long gone. The spare tire. Oh look, look. The original jack instructions. Wow, that is really neat. Believe it or not, some of these cars didn't come with trunk lights. They would be mounted right here on a Mercury switch. No trunk light. All right, what do you say we check under the hood, see what we're working with? So this car has the 283 V8 with the 2-speed power glide. Some of these came with an inline 6. It looks all complete under here. Come on in here and I'll show you guys. A86C. You still see the part number on there. I love that. Looks like we got a 4-barrel. We got radiator hose, we got heater hoses, we got the whole complete engine, fuel pump, lower radiator hose. We got the water pump, which is free. This one still has a generator. Looks to be an original one, Delco Remy 12-volt generator. check the power steering. Power steering is empty. No power brakes, we got manual brakes. Now for the moment of truth, we gotta see if this thing will turn over. Oh, it turns. You hear that hissing? That's compression. Let's check the radiator. Antifreeze. Yeah, and we do have coolant in it. Let's see what we can smell coming out of the gas tank. Maybe there's gas in there, maybe there's not, but I'm kind of assuming I can't use this tank. Hopefully I got the right size battery. I just sort of winged it. Oh yeah, like a glove. I knew all along. Let's see if we can get it to crank with the key switch. All right. Generator light comes on, oil light comes on, the fuel gauge goes to full. Sounds like a nice healthy crank too, nice and even. See if the horn works. Oh, no way. I'm gonna try the headlights real quick. See if they come on. One pull out, and then two. All right, yes, both. Okay, let's see if the brights work. All right, click. What do you see? What do you see? And all four just like that. Man, that makes me happy. And you know what's cool is you can't necessarily see it where you're at, but these two are T3 headlights, which T3 headlights were, those are actually old. Those are actually from the 60s. They don't make T3s anymore. I know we got more important fish to fry, but I'm just curious if we got power back here. No. No, nothing. I'll have to figure that out later. Right now, let's move to something a little more pressing. Oh man, my spear came off. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! I got a key. Is this the key? It is a key, but is it the key? I also found the door lock plastic. Whoa! Wow, we're just finding more and more goodies as we go along, aren't we? All right, let's give this key a shot. Oh! Oh! Dang! You never get that lucky. I just found that in the floor. I wish they would have used this on the trunk. They drilled out the lock cylinder on the trunk and they could have just used the key if they would have looked in the floor of the car. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go get the belt that I saw in the car. Maybe it's the right size belt, I'm not sure. Put it on here and tighten it up because if this thing does run, I want to see if it's charging and I want the water pump to turn too. That's the most important thing. This is the longer one. I think this one is for the water pump and generator. So we'll just go ahead and throw it on there and see if this fits. I'm pretty sure that generator bolt is a 1/2 inch. Oh, I think I see one right there. Try and pry it up against the head, not the valve cover. So this light is on, and if those points are opening and closing, that light should go on and off when you crank it. Well, not like that, but you're just getting a bad ground. What'd you see? Now that I'm pretty sure the points are opening and shutting, I'm confident enough to try and see if we can just get it to light off. We'll take this. Ooh, man. That goes down to the fuel pump, and the fuel pump is disconnected from the line on the car, so we're not going to pull anything from the tank. You guys like my gas can? It's actually, these were cheaper than the gas cans themselves. Not really sure what that's all about, but I just bought this instead of a gas can. I got a smaller screwdriver, alright? I just don't want to go get it. I'm lazy. Leave me alone. I think I can see that it was leaking past the floats. Give her a few love taps. Maybe she'll seal up. If not, we're gonna have to rebuild this carburetor. It's leaking really bad from this fitting. We might have flooded it before we even tried it, but we can try it anyway. Oh! Oh! She tried! Let's try it again. Oh yeah, yes. Okay, so the oil light went out, but the generator light did not. Might not be charging, but she runs. Yeah, baby. Come on. Oh no! I can't kill this battery. I think this carburetor is going to need to be rebuilt because it's leaking really bad right here, and also the accelerator pump. Okay, so I had to run out and get some brake clean because I didn't have any. I think this accelerator pump's not working, and so it's not giving it that spritz it needs. Plus it's been a little bit now, so it might, if it was flooded, it's evaporated. Bad news is it's still coming out of this hole a little bit, but good news is I don't see it coming out of the jets anymore. Now I think the float's finally started to seat. Okay, I want to hear this thing run on its own before I leave tonight. That was the goal for today. I'm not 100% sure why it's doing that. Gen light's on. Alright. Well, she's doing her thing. Kinda. So it's officially day 2. Gotta figure out why it's surging like that. A big deal we gotta get straightened out is that generator situation. It's not charging, and I don't have a jump pack. I have got to have some sort of charging. So after a few seconds of checking, I think I might have found the problem with the generator. If you look on the back of this generator, let me get you guys in here, okay? Let me show you. See this black piece right here? This goes against the armature, and this is what carries the current to the car. It's spring, this arm is a spring tension that pushes that brush up against that armature. See how this one's tight? And see this one? See how that's loose? this brush it needs to be pushed up against that armature to carry current. I'm gonna see if I can get some spring tension put back on that bad boy. See down in there all that crap? Look at that. Those right there, those two things are jets. Those are probably plugged. Look at all that crap. No, no, no. So we might have got it figured out. I cleaned these bowls out and now they're looking pretty good, pretty clean. I cleaned those two jet holes out right there, and then I took these little housings off, these 3 screws. You can take this off, clean the idle circuits in there, clean the circuits in here, put those back on, and the accelerator pump is working. It's actually working. It's squirting fuel right out here. Well, we're squirting out of 1. We were squirting out of 2. On she goes. Ugh. And now we're going to tackle this generator problem. Since we sort of know what the issue is, I got all the bolts out and we're just going to see if we can get in there and somehow get spring tension put back on that brush. See, sort of, it needs to be pushing up against that thing, helping me out. Come on. These bolts should go like all the way through the housing. Very, very easy. So I went to the local Ace Hardware shop here to try and maybe MacGyver something together or find a few springs that are rogue that I can maybe make work. I would need like a generator alternator repair shop to even know what I'm talking about, a little spring like that. No one's open. Ace Hardware was closing at 2, barely got in the door before they closed. So this was my original spring, and I just bought a few Whatnot springs for 20 cents a piece because I thought, well, maybe I can just cut it and bend it into what I need. And so I had 3, and I cut one up and I bent it up, and if you see it in there, I bent it to what I needed. So now, see the bottom, how I hooked it around the anchor on the housing, and I bent it to where it would go through this arm. And so now, that should hold our brush in. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, there we go. What I want to do after I get this on, I don't want it to leak out of here anymore. The generator should be charging. With the carburetor clean, it should run smooth, and then we can finally move on from this mess onto another one. Well, fuel pump's on. I don't see it leaking out of the main lug on the carburetor anymore. Let's try this. Oh yeah, that's way better. Maybe not. Parking brake was on, that's why it dies when I put it in gear. Alright. Well, she's sputtering a little bit, but things are a lot better than they were yesterday, I'll tell you that. No more surging. We got some spitter spatter. But it's running on its own. It's not dripping fuel anymore. I want it to run for a little bit, get warm. My fix worked, 12.7, 12.8. And I also want it to run to charge that battery back up. I've been abusing it pretty bad. So she's smoking a little bit, she's farting a little bit, but hey, what do you want? What do you expect? I think it's actually starting to cycle water now. That's a good sign. Temperature gauge is reading. That's good. Yeah, that's going to be very important. Now that the oil is nice and hot, I'm going to drain it. And while the front is in the air, I'm also going to look at the front brakes and repack those ball bearings. It's not milky, it's just hot and thin. It smells a little gassy, old gassy. Yeah, see how thin that is? Almost like water. I think there's some gas in there. So these brakes, they're pretty thin, as they need to come off because these wheel cylinders need to be replaced anyway, and I knew that they would look like this. After so long, that brake fluid turns into powder, and that's, I mean, imagine if I would have just came and tried to put brake fluid in that master cylinder. I mean, you know, you can't drive 2,500 miles on that. That is totally, that's gone. That is absolutely done. Shoes, wheel cylinders, and brake hoses. I can see it getting cracked right there. Good thing I brought a 1-inch wrench, because this piece, oh, it's actually got some sealer on it, or like some anti-seize on it, actually. Wow. Anyway, this is a 1-inch nut that holds the wheel cylinder on, so that was my biggest wrench, and I didn't want to use a crescent wrench because that one was on there pretty tight, so I'm glad I had that. But look at this wheel cylinder I'm about to show you. This thing is crazy. Look at that. You think that I was going to rebuild that here where I'm at? Yeah, right. Fat chance. Now this brake line I'm going to replace, but I am going to save this copper crush washer. This is what seals the wheel cylinder and the brake line, is this copper washer. And I'm telling you, the new ones will leak, and these old ones you can use again and they will have a less probability of leaking, believe it or not. So I always save those copper crush washers, because those ones, these are thicker and they're usually better. So I'm at kind of a weird stopping point. I would have liked to have got all the front brakes done and put back together, but it's like almost 7 o'clock, getting dark, and I got tools literally everywhere, so I want to clean up my mess, and we'll pick up on the brakes tomorrow morning. Alright, well, good morning, guys. It is officially the beginning of day 3, working on this 1960 Impala in the back lot of a New Jersey warehouse. Today we have a lot to do still before this thing is ready to make a 2,500 mile road trip. Right now I'm working on brakes, shoes, cylinders, hoses, master cylinder. That's what we need to do to get these brakes going and bled. And then once the brakes are bled, we still have to switch the gas tank out. Before I got here, like I said, I'd ordered a gas tank It was only like $163 on Rock Auto. I thought it was totally worth it because I need that capacity, so I'm not stopping every 100 miles with a 5-gallon or 2 5-gallon jugs. I'm probably going to do these brakes and put them on and grease these bearings and then get back, because this job is so filthy I can't keep turning the camera on and off. Okay, so we have kind of an issue right now. I got these hubs together. Listen to this one. Can't even hear it. Beautiful. Come over to the other one. Remember, the brakes are adjusted totally in. You should have no interference. Hear that? That bearing in there, that inner bearing is toast. You can't buy them at auto parts houses because what they'll sell you, the listing they show is a taper bearing, a conical taper bearing. These are actual ball bearings. So that's one thing I really didn't want to go wrong, because that's not an easy fix. Well, it is an easy fix, but actually finding that ball bearing, that's the hard part, is actually getting your hands on that. That's why it's not an easy fix. I wiped the surface off. You can see how it's kind of pitted in there, and the bearing too. Where's the bearing at? Yeah, so see that? See how pitted those balls are, and those holes are elongated. See how those holes are real wallered out? And those bearings are about to fall out of their holes. This is not usable. This won't go anywhere. And yeah, this kind of sucks. So we're in a sticky situation. I put the good bearing from that wheel on this hub and put it together to see if the races were good enough to hold a good bearing, and it's still scrapey and scratchy. We're screwed in a sense. This tire, this wheel is not going anywhere. This side is not going anywhere without new races and a new bearing. And none of the parts houses carry it. I got on Rock Auto. Apparently there was a set races and the inner bearing, so I'm having it overnighted to me to put on tomorrow. There's nothing else I could do. I can't get it in town. Let's just cross our fingers and hope and pray that that is the right bearing and race. While we're waiting for that to come in the mail, we're just gonna have to keep pressing on. See what the story is with these back brakes. Alright, I'll get back with you on that. So I finally got the drum off, and just like the fronts, it's just dust in there. Whew! Alright, the rear brakes are finally together after a little bit of hassle and convincing. So the rear hose is on, shoes are on, wheel cylinder's on, all the hardware's on. These were frozen solid. I got those unstuck. Going around here to the driver's side. Brakes are together on this side too. So tomorrow, I didn't get to the gas tank today because of that fiasco with the ball bearing. That threw me for a loop. Spent some time trying to figure out what I was going to do about that, trying to call around, see if I could get one. That ball bearing is coming from Rock Auto. Well, I'm going to finish this up. Oh, and check it out. I got 2 of the tires put on the rims. The guy I bought the car from was nice enough to take those down and have 2 of them put on while I have the backup in the air. So I'm going to adjust these brakes, get everything cleaned up, and I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow for day 4. Welcome to day 4 of the 1960 Impala. I wanted to get to the gas tank yesterday, wasn't able to reach quite that far, but today that's what we're starting with. I finished up the brakes last night, got the rear brakes adjusted, so it's all about fuel right now. So I've been soaking these bolts down for days since I got here, these strap bolts. And, oh, don't do that on me. It's about to come out of there. because these strap bolts, they have really long ends on them and they get rusted and they don't want to come apart. All right, let's get a good look at this sending unit. Oh man. Yeah, this is toast. This needed to be done. Look at that. This is stuck. Oh, well, now it's free. This float goes up and down to read your levels of gas, but I mean, I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but look. And we would have never got gas out of this anyway. It's totally plugged up. We'll have to unplug that and try and blow through it. Yeah. All right, I think I have everything ready. I got the sending unit cleaned out and installed in this new tank. I got a new hose coming from the frame going to this. Straps are ready. So hopefully it fits. Well, straps in. One installed gas tank. I might put a piece of baling wire around this neck because I'm not sure about the structural integrity of this, and when you get a bunch of weight in there, might put stress on that, and so I'll put it around the neck and maybe wire it somewhere in the trunk. And then coming around here to the back of the tank, got the sending unit in and the wires hooked up to the sending unit, you know, for whatever that's worth, and then the new hoses hooked up from the frame to the tank. And now I've been draining the oil out of this differential because while it's up in the air, I want to put new differential fluid in it and bleed the rear brakes. But first we got to put the master cylinder on to do that. Now we can switch from the jerry can to, oops, got gas coming out the top, to the real deal. Come on. So here's where we're at. The fuel system should be good to go now. The gas tank's all in, all the rubber lines, the fuel pump is in. I put the master cylinder on, bled all the brakes are bled. And now what I'm doing is, the last thing I'm gonna do today is pound the race out of that hub, because I got an email saying that my bearing and races were delivered to where I'm staying at. So I'm gonna take them to where I'm staying, make sure that they're correct. So if they're correct, we can start out bright and early tomorrow fixing them ball bearings in that hub. And then after that, it's just tuning the engine to make it run a little better, and we should be off. Oh yeah, and the rear lights. So I still haven't fixed the rear lights, brake lights, running lights. We're gonna have to figure that out, but that's nothing compared to what's going on here with this hub and all this other stuff, fuel tank. So, whoo, it's been a lot. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. It's a lot of work. Well, there it comes. Now that that's out, I'm going to clean my mess up, and I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow for day 5 of the 1960 Impala. So my new bearing came last night. This is the old one, and for all intent and purposes, when I'm looking at these, they look pretty much the exact same. If you look at the width, they're the same. And this race right here, these look the same. I'm pretty confident that this is going to work. The measurements seem to be the same. I'm very happy this came. I'm very happy that it is correct. So goal now is to get this packed, put this side on, get the tires on, and get the car set on the ground so we can keep this thing moving. Because by the end of today, I would like this car to be mostly ready to go by the end of today. That's tires on, brakes adjusted, brakes working, and I need to figure out the taillight situation. Why are my taillights not working? I was checking last night, and the fuse block for the brake lights, the fuse block, the tail lamps isn't getting power, and I think it gets its power from the headlight switch. So I got to figure that out, because all the wiring looks to be good. It doesn't look 8.5. The motor, last time I ran it, still didn't sound 100%, so we still have some things to do, but I'm trying to be ready by the end of today. That looks like that fits right. That's awesome. And then this race goes down in here. I got to figure out a good way to pound this in. Now I'm going to move on to the engine and see if we can get it to run better. Because last time I ran it, it was kind of missing, and I haven't ran it in a few days, so just until it can get some gas. All right, let's give this a whirl. Do 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 do. I see some gas coming through the fuel filter. I know we're getting there. it's got 2 cylinders that aren't firing. As it's running, I was taking the spark plug wires off of the distributor cap, and you can see one back there, and there's another one back there. So I'm going to check those cylinders out. So these are the spark plugs from the 2 cylinders, number 5 and 7, that are messing up. This one looks pretty bad and smashed in, but I'm not sure why this one's not working. It looks okay, but we'll just go ahead and put 2 new ones in it, and hopefully that fixes our problem. So I figured out my light situation. I'm testing out my lights right now, been testing them. I wasn't getting power to the taillight fuse, so I bootlegged power from somewhere else, and now we got turn signals and we have running lights. I had to tape this up because I don't have a lens for this, but yeah, all the lights work, the reverse lights, the tail lights, the turn signals, and the brake lights, and the headlights. So we are totally legal beagle. So what I want to do is I haven't driven this thing at all. I don't even know if it gets second gear. I want to go eat some lunch. We'll drive this car to go get lunch. I want to go get gas in it too. I only have a few gallons in it. So let's drive it for the first time in probably 25 or 30 years. After seeing what I've seen, 25, 30 years. Brakes work. Power steering works. Man, take a look at her out in the open for the first time. Man, that's a good looking car, man. That's a good looking car. Brand new set of shoes on her, with the skinny whites looking fine as wine. So I think the fuel gauge came around and maybe it's working. Speedo's trying to do something. I think my temperature gauge works, and gen and oil light obviously work. So first thing I want to do is hit a gas station, put some gas in this thing. Oh yeah, she gets second gear. That's exactly what I wanted to know. Yes, I heard it. I definitely heard it. We're not going 50, but you know. So I'm filling up, probably the first of many, but I'm in New Jersey, and this is kind of cool. See that booth right there? New Jersey and I think one other state are the only states in the union that require a gas attendant still, like this is the 30s, but yeah, it's a law. They gotta have a gas attendant to pump your gas, but I don't know, I don't want them to pump mine. I just got out and started doing it anyway. Oh.
They're not gonna know.
It took 12 gallons. I put a couple gallons in it. It's probably a 15-gallon tank. All right, let's keep this show moving. Let's see if the gas gauge started working. Oh yes, yeah baby. Well, I guess I'm as ready as I'll ever be. We got this thing as good as we can get it where it sits. So it's up to this thing to get us 2,500 miles back home. And I got a few stops along the way that I think you guys are gonna like. There's some historical things I wanna see that I wanna show you guys. So our first stop is down south in Pennsylvania. stopped at a gas station, our first stop. It took 7 gallons. I think I've driven it, I don't know, probably 30 some miles. I'll get a better idea about what the gas mileage is once we get some more miles under our belt. But let's continue on our way to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She's not overheating. I unhooked the speedometer because it's making so much dang noise. Gas gauge is trying to work, but not working quite right. But my main concern is that we're not overheating. I'm happy about that. So let's keep her going. All right, so we've officially made it to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. First 100 miles down. She did pretty dang good. It still has a slight stumble in it, but it's good enough to ride on. We got to get this show on the road. And if you recognize those right there, this is the first stop along the way. And I want to show you guys a little bit of this because I've been wanting to see this for a long time. It's the abandoned and repurposed Bethlehem steel plant. I've read about this in books before, and I think it's just a fascinating story of American might and power. This whole complex here used to be Bethlehem Steel Works. I think Bethlehem made their last steel in the 90s before foreign steel pretty much took over. And all these buildings, this building, that building, all of those buildings, this all used to be part of Bethlehem Steel Works. But check this out. This is freaking cool, man. Bethlehem Steel has roots going back to 1850, but this geographical location was perfect because they were close to rail, they were close to rivers for transportation of goods, and they were also close to natural resources like iron ore. The blast furnaces you're looking at saw tens of thousands of tons pass through them to build the steel that built America throughout the late 1800s and the 1900s, all the way up until 1995 when the last blast furnace was shut off for good. And what is it exactly that Bethlehem Steel produced? They had innovations in steel rail making to replace wrought iron steel rail with the Bessemer steel rail, which was a much longer lasting rail. Bethlehem Steel also innovated steel beams that made skyscrapers possible, and it basically pushed New York City skyward instead of outward. The Chrysler Building, which was completed in 1930, had 20,291 tons of Bethlehem steel H-beams in it, and it is still the tallest standing brick building in the world. Ore would travel up these tracks all the way to the top of the blast furnace where it would be dumped in the top, and then hot air would be blasted into it to create the steel. Bethlehem Steel also made things for the military, like armor plate like this that was able to stop a massive shell. Bethlehem had contracts with the United States and other countries like Japan, Britain, Russia, and Latin America. With the conglomeration of all these major contracts for steel for war efforts from multiple countries, it put Bethlehem Steel in the top 5 largest companies in the United States. Bethlehem Steel ran 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it employed at its height 30,000 people, which was about half of the city, I believe, at the time. Working at Bethlehem was also sort of a culture. You can see here the names and even some of the nicknames of the men welded into the catwalk here down below. And right above me here you can see this giant pipe would carry the compressed air, and these engines are what made it happen. Each one of these flywheels is connected to an engine that would compress the air to 25 to 30 psi, send it through these giant pipes all the way out of this room. That giant steel pipe in front of me would carry it to each of the 5 blast furnaces to be used in the steel making process. Every single one of these used to be steam engines, but were converted to gas engines in the early 1900s once internal combustion engines became popular. And these are the carts that would carry the ore in buckets on rails to the blast furnace that it needed to be at for the steel making process. Yeah, but look though, I think it's cool, man, that old wooden door, old handle still on it, where some guy would be controlling that car. There's the handle in there. Somebody was actually in there manning that handle. That kind of stuff fascinates me. And now here it lays idle. This one you can still see, I think, some of the iron pellets. It's almost like they just walked away. I mean, it looks like it's just waiting to be used again. This building right here is the number 2 machine shop, built in 1890. This was one of the largest industrial buildings in the world, stretching for nearly a third of a mile. Workers in this shop milled and drilled Bethlehem steel into finished products and parts, including weapons, ammo, and ships. In 1943, Bethlehem Steel made one entire naval ship per day out of this building. Although the trains still roll by the Bethlehem Steel plant, they no longer deliver the raw materials used at this behemoth, almost 4-mile-long complex that built so much of America. And back to the car, just gonna check everything out real quick, make sure there's no leaks, no radiator fluid, no engine oil, tranny fluid, none of that. It looks pretty clean underneath, cleaner than some new cars even, which is pretty wild. I'll go ahead and hook the battery up and then we can get on the road. We got a long way to go. And one last word on Bethlehem Steel. You know, a lot of people wonder how something that was so integral and important to the American economy could go bankrupt like that. Well, it was a series of things over many decades, actually. A ballooning corporate structure, added bureaucracy that didn't matter, the advent of the EPA in the 70s and 80s, an unwillingness to change with the times because they thought their success in the past would forever continue into the future, and some would also say piling union demands made them uncompetitive. So I decided to finally stop for the night. My taillights quit working on the car. I didn't want to get pulled over. I couldn't get them to work. If you remember, I'll show you. My headlight switch is messing up. I was taking power from the backup lights and running them over to the tail lights, and the fuse blew because I was trying to use too much power off of one fuse. I tried to fix it on the side of the highway, couldn't get it to work. Need some new fuses or a new headlight switch. One of them isn't working. Let me tell you something. I looked for the nearest hotel. I found a Quality Inn and a Hampton Inn right next to each other. I go to the Quality Inn. How much is your basic low rent room? $155. Okay, I'll just go to the Hampton Inn and see what they got. Go in there. Say, what's your most low rent room, sir? I just need something to sleep in. He said $155, $154. I said, gosh dang, for a room? These aren't my kind of people, man. So, around the bend, back behind the bushes, almost in the same parking lot, is Browns Hill Tavern and Motel. I called just before I got in the parking lot and I said, how much is your room? $83. I said, that's me right there. And I walk in the bar, that the bartender was the same one who sold me the room. One of their front door glasses cracked. I think I'm in the right spot. A real key, wouldn't you know it? Oh, door's already open, it wasn't even locked. Oh. Looks like there's people already. Ooh, wrong room. Just kidding, just kidding. Whoopsies. Okay, it's really anyway. Well, good morning, guys. We made it 223 successful miles yesterday without any major incident except for the taillight situation last night. But today we got to get to Mansfield, Ohio. I want to go to the Ohio State Reformatory, which is where they filmed Shawshank Redemption, and I want to check that out. I think that'll be cool. Right now I'm checking fluids, checking the car out, checking vitals, seeing if we're good to go. A few things I want to check out, I'll show you. First off, I want to look underneath the car, and I don't really see any leaks coming out. But one thing is this hose keeps collapsing. Whenever I shut the car off, watch, when I undo this hose, I'm not sure if that radiator cap is bad or what, but it's not trying to overheat on me. But when I shut it off and it cools down, it hose collapses. So I'm going to put a new radiator cap on it. I'd had this with me in case I needed it. We're not really losing any water, so I don't know. I'll stick that on there and I don't know, see if that changes anything. We could add a little bit, and it's dirty. It's probably so dirty because I put new oil in it, but it's probably taken all the sludge from what was in there and bringing it to the bottom. And I don't think it's burning oil because I don't really see a lot of smoke coming out, but if you look at the valve covers, or I'm sorry, if you look at the head, see how they're a little wet down there? I think the valve cover gasket's leaking a little bit. It's not so much to be a major concern to me. Yeah, carburetor's working so much better. Things running like an absolute top now. Ran just perfect yesterday. check our brake fluid. I don't think it's losing any. Brakes seem to be working dandy. Yeah, brake fluid's at the very, very tip top, so I didn't do too bad on the brakes. Give her about a, I don't know, quart or so. Let her drink on that and she'll be good. Just keep an eye on her, you know. Check the power steering. Power steering's working great. I don't know why it had no fluid in it when I originally was working on this car. I hooked the belt up, put fluid in it, and hasn't leaked any out. See, that power steering's working great too. Like butter. Let's see if she'll fire up sitting overnight. A few pumps for good luck. Oh man. That's a small block for you, baby. Don't you love that? Well, the last place we filled up at was 150 miles ago exactly. Okay, 8 gallons, 150 miles. Let me do the math on that. That's 18.75 miles to the gallon. I've clocked it twice now at 18 miles to the gallon. That is way better than I thought it was going to be. I was assuming 12 to 15. 18, that's great. I stopped on the highway to check some things, and I noticed that my heater core is leaking antifreeze. I think what happened was I put that new cap on, and now it's able to hold more pressure, and it gave way to the heater core. You can see it's dripping some fluid down there. And you can see it's dripping in here. What's crazy is if I would have left that radiator cap on there, probably would never had any problems, you know what I mean? Maybe I should just put that cap back on there and keep going. Gotta cap it off now. No good deed goes unpunished, right? Got to cap this heater core off now that it finally decided to let loose. Oh, gosh! I'm gonna see if this 1/2-inch extension, because these hoses are 2 different sizes. One heater hose I think is half and one is 5/8 or something like that. I can't remember. I know you're gonna start bleeding. Oh, Stop it. I know you're not happy. Neither am I. Get some of that out of there. Get in there. All right, that looks like that'll fit. See, this side's bigger so it fits over the end that goes on the ratchet. The shaft is smaller, which goes over the smaller hose. There you go. Tighten that up. I'm convinced that you did this. You did this to me. I'm not gonna have you hold more pressure and then blow this out. I cannot afford that. That's much better. I gotta see where it's plugged at. I'm gonna spray some brake clean down it and crank it and see if you start seeing fuel come up in this fuel filter. Probably take a few.
I've never tried before.
What's up?
Brake clean.
Or brake clean?
Yeah.
Lights them off real good. Back in business though. I mean, it wouldn't be running this long if it wasn't pulling.
Yeah, it'll pick up the impact that I live.
Wes?
Yeah.
I'm Travis. I really appreciate you stopping. Just to check up and everything, man. Hey, shout out to Wes, man. Thank you for stopping, man. That means a lot. There's still good people in this world, man. We lost a lot of time, but hey, it had to be done. The line was kinked. Driving down the highway and it stopped midstream. It sounded like it just puttered out. I just put gas in it. I noticed there was one fuel hose, close to the engine that I didn't see, that I didn't replace, and it looked collapsed. I had to jack the car up to get to it. I couldn't get to it flat on the ground. I replaced that hose, well, I blew through it, and it was clogged still. I replaced that hose anyway, but one of the hoses closer to the tank that I did, it was kinked. So I cut it, made it shorter to where it wouldn't kink, and now it's running good. Anyway, let's get back on the road. So since my plans are foiled of going to the reformatory where Shawshank Redemption was filmed, I stopped at this O'Reilly's before dark to try and see if I can fix these taillights, and I'll show you what I did. So I got some fuses and spades, and that fuse blew last night, I think I told you, so I put a little bit stronger fuse in, and I just, you know, jumped it from that fuse to give it power, because that fuse is not getting power. And so I gave it power that way, and now we have tail lights. It's hard to see in the daylight. You can see I got tail lights now. We got tail lights, brake lights, signals, everything again, and we can just keep on rolling. I stopped to get some gas, and I noticed something reflecting off the gas handle, and lo and behold, the license plate light was working, which is an anomaly to me. I don't know how that could be. And I always get comments from people from other countries kind of being interested in what's going on over here and driving these old cars on the road, and I just still don't think people understand how big America is. I mean, Germany from east to west is 450 miles long, the entire country. I was on one stretch of one highway for 377 miles. That's one stretch of one highway. It's much longer than that in its entirety. Israel is only, I think, 85 miles wide at its widest point. In total, our highway system has over 4 million miles, over double that of China, even though China has triple our population, and we're only about 3% larger by landmass. There's never a shortage of things to discover here in the States. The power steering belt kept on slacking off, and I kept adjusting it out until I couldn't anymore, and so I put the new belt I bought on it right now. So this belt I just found in the seat. It had the wrapping on it, and I put it on, and the generator belt, but I don't know, I guess it's old or something, and it's just slacked off and stretched out to where it wouldn't adjust anymore. So I put my new belt on it, adjusted it. Now that's doing fine. The pump was squeaking, the belt was squeaking. That I was scared that belt was going to come loose and bust my radiator or something. So I checked the oil. It was about a quart low, and I put a quart in it. I think it's burning some oil, some blow by coming out of the oil fill hole and out of the breather tube at the bottom. I think I've gone 800-900 miles so far, and it's only used 2 quarts of oil. I'd take that any day. My radiator's still good to go. Hasn't blown yet. I've been feeling around the hubs, you know, just touching them to see if they're warm, and I packed the bearings good, I guess, because they're nice and cool, not even lukewarm. And I come around here, I touch this backing plate and that hub and everything, and that's good. But the one over here is hot to the touch. I checked the differential fluid, and differential fluid was full, plumb full. So since one of them is hot and not the other, it could be that side's either not getting oil or that I have the brakes adjusted too far out and it's just dragging on the drum. So I'm going to jack the back up a little bit now and just rotate that drum and see if I need to adjust it out. It's warm to the touch now. It was kind of hot to the touch, but that's with how many miles under our belt today? Hundreds. So I'm not really sure what to do about that at the moment. Full of differential oil, and it's not even dragging the drum. Yeah, this side too. Not even dragging. Just checking. Oop. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. All right, guys, well, it is Monday now. Saturday night, I got into Mount Vernon, stayed with some family. I appreciate my Aunt Janice for letting me stay with her, feeding me some biscuits and gravy. Real good. Got to see some family. I was here all day Sunday. I just clocked out on Sunday. Since I got to New Jersey last Friday, I haven't stopped at all. So by Sunday, which was about 9 days in, I called it quits for a day. So I stayed here yesterday on Sunday. It's like 8 o'clock. We can start on the road again from Southern Illinois down the way to Amarillo. So we'll be passing through, I think, St. Louis, Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, down to Amarillo. I want to go to Cadillac Ranch, but we're still full of coolant. Yeah, we're full on the brake fluid. We're good on the oil. Just see if anything's on there. Yeah, we're reading some. Might need to check it again when it's hot though. Ran it about 1,000 miles. We've got about 950 miles. I kind of wanted to drop the oil, drop the filter, and put a new one in it. But I'm on rocks here, and the car is too low to get to the filter and the differential. It's just too low. And I got nowhere. That's the street. I can't jack it up in the rocks. So I'll maybe have to find a rest stop or something to do those two things at. Anyway, I've had breakfast. Really nothing left to do but to do it. I haven't ran this car since Saturday night, and again it's Monday, so give her a few spritz of the foot and see if she lights off. Perfect. I love small blocks. To be just doing that, I'm impressed. I mean, you gotta be impressed by that. Listen to how it runs too. She was sputtering in the beginning, but listen to it now. Not a vibration, one. Talk about America. I'm in the middle of Missouri. Got some fried okra, some fried mozzarella sticks, and to top it all off, a big old piece of fried catfish. After I eat this, we'll fill up, see what our gas mileage is, continue to hit the road. We've went 194 miles since this morning. We'll see how much gas she uses. We're going to calculate our fuel mileage once again. So she quit at 12.3 gallons. That's 192 miles divided by 12.3. I did the math. That's like 15.6 miles to gallon. I don't know what happened to you. You were doing better earlier. I just got outside at Tulsa, Oklahoma, on my way to Oklahoma City. Gone about 460, 470 miles so far today. Got an interesting story about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Some of you might know about this, some of you might not, but back in 1957, Tulsa, Oklahoma put a brand new 1957 Belvedere, and they buried it like a time capsule, and they were going to unearth it after 50 years, so 2007. And they had a few people put some valuables inside the car, you know, like keepsakes. Well, they dug up the 57 Belvedere, brand new, 0 miles. It was an event called the Tulsa-Rama. They did it in 2007. I was there in 2007 when they dug it up. I was 10 years old. I'm 26 now, but me, my mom and dad, we were on our way to Illinois for a family, you know, from Tucson, and it was happening around the same time, so my dad wanted to see it. They wanted to see him dig it up. So we went and we saw him dig it up, and they had a cover over it until they transported it to an arena where everybody could see it. It was this whole big event. And believe it or not, a few of the people who put some stuff in the car in 1957 were there. They were really old, but a few of them were there. And when they took the cover off of it, that car was trashed. They did not seal that concrete box up for crap. It's totally rusted out. I mean, it might as well have had 100,000 miles on it and then parked in a field, you know? It was totally trashed. And when I was passing through Tulsa, I kind of wanted to see that car if they had it on display somewhere, you know, because I saw it in 07 when they dug it up. That was 15 years ago, 16 years ago. But it's oddly enough at some museum in Roscoe, Illinois, which is like northern Illinois. I don't know why it's up there and not in Tulsa. All right, so we made it to Oklahoma City, made it about 590 miles today. I was trying to make it to Amarillo, but that's kind of a stretch. I was trying to get to that halfway point. Where I started off today was 1,700 miles from home. I was hoping to make it 800 so I can do the other 700 tomorrow, but it's not looking like that. She couldn't quite get her done. And also, this hub is getting hot is what's worrying me too. That's why I also wanted to stop and not, you know, drive through the night. I mean, I started off at 9 and it's 10, so that's 13 hours of driving anyway. We made it here, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow. All right, guys, good morning. I'm doing my morning due diligence. All our fluids are looking good, except for the oil. The oil is half a quart low, maybe. It is using a little bit of oil. I see it coming out the breather tube, you know. So we're gonna dump the rest of my Marvel Mixture oil in it, and a little bit of engine oil. Keep it going. Well, what is all this? Am I leaking gas? I lost the gas cap and I just put the plate up. It could be sloshing and putting gas out of the neck there. I didn't put the cap on when I left the gas station last night, so whatever. I still have the old gas tank in here, although could be leaking some fuel out of that old gas tank, so I don't know. I'm telling you, fixes all problems. You can use this as two-stroke oil. You can use it to get stuck bolts loose. You can use it as fuel additive. You can use it as oil additive. This is like fix all for everything. I don't care what anyone says. I love this stuff. Like a moth to a flame, baby. I found you. I sure found you, didn't I? Yeah, there's more and more wind power generation going on, and I don't know if they make a deal with these farmers to, like, you know, put that windmill there and give them part of the profits or what. Well, I think I ran out of gas, man. I'm about 4 miles from a Love's, I think, but it's that way, the opposite way I'm going. So I'm crossing the highway. That sucks. Maybe I can thumb down a ride or something, I don't know. 4 miles, it's not too bad. I'm gonna lose a few hours though, that's for sure. So I'll keep you guys updated. You can barely see it. I think it's about 4 miles away, way up there. Can't believe I did that, man. I should have stopped, but I've only went 183 miles from the last fill up, so I should have been good. I looked, so I don't know. What a rookie mistake. I think this guy stopped for me up here. Thank God. Whew. I think he stopped for me. Thank you, Lord. Man, just by chance, this hotshot trucker was going up to the same gas station I was trying to get to, so lucked out big time, man. And there's like a berm right there to turn around on.
It happens to the best of us. So, brother, I love the old school. You're gonna have to get all that
Rust repair?
Rust repair. Yeah, it rusted out pretty good. Anything northeast with all that salt and stuff.
I'm just hoping that this is enough for that pickup tube in the tank to pick up on. Is a rank stranger to me.
Oh, so don't put that foot down. Oh, yeah. Spray a little more in there.
Try it again. And yeah, I'm gonna get back to that gas station and fill up this and my other tank. Only a few miles from that gas station, so we'll just turn around in this berm. Yeah, I am more than grateful for him stopping. I actually tried to try my chances at calling an Uber out there. I mean, that was a waste of time, but hey, I tried it. I did flip him a few bucks for helping me out. You know, took time out of his day. He's a hot shot trucker, so his time is valuable. So yeah, man, got me out of a bind. Made it to Texas though. So I stopped over here in this empty parking lot because I think I can start hearing that Baron make some noise. And also I wanted to check this gas tank and look at this thing. There it is. You see how it gets wet when I wipe it? Right there. It's cracked. Piece of junk. I made it to where I wanted to go. Cadillac Ranch. Crazy. I guess the guy that put these here wanted to show the evolution of Cadillacs through the years. It's hard to even tell with all the paint on them, but like this is the earliest one and they go later and later all the way till I don't know what year. They're painted, right? Look at that. That is layers and layers of paint that have just fallen off the roof onto the ground. That's all paint. That's all paint. Look, the window regulator's still in the window. I'll have to do some more research and see like how complete these were when they put them in, and like all this, you know, tore up. Is that stuff people have just taken over the years? Like they just busted the windows, took the trunk, whatever. Wow. The differentials are still in them. X-frame. Gas tank's gone. Bumper's gone. Look how much paint is on those bolts. They're supposed to be 4 bolts and 4 nuts. Look, this whole bundle of paint is about to come off. You can see it starting to slide down the roof. Gosh, that's so insane. That's a 56. That's a 57. That's a 58. And this is a 59. Because of the way the tail fins are and the bumper. This is a 59, so 59, 8, 7, 6, and this must be a 60, 61, 62. All the years represented for like 10, 12 years here. You know, my question is if you dug these up, you know, what would the front end look like? You know, is it all complete? Hood ornaments, bumpers, engines, all that? Is it all complete underneath the ground? That's what I want to know. Let's dig it up. Will it run and drive home? That's my next video. Well, I figure since I have a 56 myself, it's only fitting to tag my own car. So apparently, originally, a group of hippies, you can look this up, from San Francisco wanted to do this project with the Cadillacs. They erected these in 1974, and they are all pointed in the direction of the Pyramid of Giza. And in 97, they were all moved 2 miles west. I think people forget about New Mexico, but New Mexico, in my eyes, is just as desolate as Kansas, Arkansas, or Montana. I have never been longer stretches without seeing anything, you know, as I have been in New Mexico. It is an undiscovered state. So I was driving, my generator light came on. I thought maybe it was the brush. No, it wasn't the brush. This belt is wearing real thin. You see that? And it came off actually. I opened up the hood and the belt was just chilling, like off. So, actually, yeah, see this belt's about to come apart. Actually, this is not even a big deal. This is the belt that was in the car. There was 2 belts in the car, one power steering and one generator belt, and I decided, well, I'll use that instead of using mine. And I don't know how, they're new, but they're old. I don't know how long they were in the car. So anyway, we're just gonna put my new one on there, and that's not really a big deal. But what is concerning me, and well, something I'm not liking, is the gas tank situation is getting worser. So that seam down there is busted. It's leaking gas out. And this bolt, this carriage bolt right here is where the gas tank is mounted. Those straps and it holds up. This is about to give out. What I might do is maybe make some room and set the gas tank in the trunk. And in other news, this hub now is getting really warm. This is a lot warmer than the other side. So that's the side with the new bearing. Yay! The last leg of the trip is always the worst, so here it comes. But over here, this one has already given. See? And this is what holds my gas tank up. We're gonna have to make room in here because I'm gonna put it in the trunk. There's a lot of gas in here, so it's gonna be kind of heavy. In. So I put a hubcap on it to keep it up so that the fluid or the gas doesn't come out that seam hole right there. It's broke, but I know what happened. So this was letting it come down and the neck was being supported right here. So the neck was bolted to that, but the tank was trying to come down and this was the fulcrum point. So the neck was holding it, and the tank was falling, and it busted that seam. Now I gotta rearrange all my stuff. And then we can get to Albuquerque, maybe by tonight. I don't know. This is ridiculous. The belt wasn't off for that long, so we're good. 100% charge, health 100%, 12.9 volt battery. That means that generator's doing a great job. So, awesome. All right, so we're in Albuquerque. I stayed last night in a motel, and right now I'm at my buddy's house. Family friend that me and my dad know, name's Gene. Appreciate Gene. We got a few things that we need to look over that are worrying me that might not make it back. These cars did not come with a one-piece drive shaft. They got a carrier bearing, and those bolts right there are for the carrier bearing. And if you look, this drive shaft is just free floating. That carrier bearing that's in the middle there should be holding this up. And you know, you're doing 60, 70 miles an hour, that thing's just trashed. So these have to come out. These have to come out. This drive shaft's got to come out, and got to put a new carrier bearing in this bad boy. And also, like I was saying yesterday, this hub over here is getting hot. And if it gets hot enough, it's going to strand me because the bearing's going to burn up. So I'm going to take that hub off, which isn't really that hard, actually. And I put a ton of grease in it. I don't know why it's getting hot, because the other side's not. I did them the same way. That side's fine. This side's getting really hot. And the temperatures are only going to be getting hotter from here on out. So I'm going to take that apart and just shove it absolutely full of grease. I had bought one, like, on my initial trip in part one. I had a bunch of parts sent to where I was staying, and one of the parts was the carrier bearing, which is right here, and I never put it on because it was never giving me problems until now. Last leg of the trip, wouldn't you know. So what happens is see, that's where those two bolts are that you saw. Sits like this, and this is the bearing. But this rubber is what goes bad. This rubber disintegrates, and then it lets that do that. Come on. There she blows. So here's the carrier bearing, or what's left of it. It's completely gone. I know it's hard to see, but these drive shafts come apart with a bolt. There's a bolt literally in the middle of this U-joint right here that you have to unloosen. And pro tip, if you ever are using a wrench and you need more leverage on that wrench, take a bigger wrench, put it in the open end, and there you go. You got more leverage. So let's play a game of, will this round off? I think I got it. Ow. Hit myself in the head. Ooh. After about 30 minutes and busting my head open, I finally got this loose. So this bolt comes loose, but then it hits the U-joint. So then you have to hit this off to give you more room to loosen the bolt. And you have to do that, loosen the bolt, hit this off, loosen the bolt, hit this off, until you get the whole thing off, and then this bearing comes off. Here's the old one. Here's the new one. All good to go. No more rattles and shakes, and who knows what else it would have tore up. So I'll put this in there, and then I'll get back with you when I jack the front up to re-grease whatever's going on up there. Got the front end jacked up. Okay. What is wrong with this side? So as soon as I took this hub off, the ball bearings fell right out of that cage. Look at that. The cage is tore up. See that? Wallered out. It's supposed to look like this. And I got this ball bearing when I did this hub. I did this in New Jersey. I replaced this race and bearing assembly in New Jersey, and I ordered 2. Thank God I ordered 2, because I need that or I wasn't gonna get home. I'm gonna pound these races off, put this in, re-grease it, put this back together. I don't know if it was user error, like I don't know if I put it together wrong. Maybe I didn't tighten the wheel all the way and it was, you know, wiggling in there, but the outer bearing is the original bearing and it's totally fine. Wouldn't they both be bad if I put it together wrong? They'd both be tore up, but only the new one is the one that's not American made. Imagine that. Look at these signs, old oil cans, and this is all the real deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't mess with no repop stuff, huh? Bendix Automotive Products, I love that. Mobile gas signs, Tidal Lollipop sign, High Vis motor oil, mobile oil. Now these pumps, Gene, did you have them restored or did you?
No, I did them.
You restored them?
Yeah.
What year is this one from? Is this from the 40s?
39 on to the Near 60.
39 on to
Call it
60.
39 Tucson.
39 Tucson. Beautiful, beautiful. I love these pumps.
Those are Wayne 60s. That one right there, the Tidal.
This one right here?
Yeah.
So Wayne 60. Wow, beautiful. Man, once I get me a shop built, I'm gonna start putting stuff like this in there. And are you gonna keep those pumps as is?
Yeah, those are original Route 66, Tucson, New Mexico.
So these two pumps are original Route 66 in the town of Tucson.
Yes.
They were in Tucson.
They're MS-80s.
Boy, isn't that neat? Have real Route 66 gas pumps. Back in the day, that's what you would have filled up with, man. Literally. After a very long and taxing 12 days, we finally made it home. The 1960 Impala will run and drive 2,500 miles after sitting for over 25 years. Tomorrow we'll get Dad out here and get his professional assessment of the car.
I can't believe it's sitting here. Yeah, that motor's clean. A-frame bushings.
Well, bounce the car up and down. It's so squeaky.
A-frame bushings. She needs A-frame bushings.
Every time I turn the wheel, I could hear it creaking
yeah.
and, you know, screeching.
What a car. I don't get it, how it made it. What's that spark plug wire wrapped around that part steering?
I wanted it off the manifold. I didn't want it hitting the manifold.
That's a no-go.
Okay, well, it was either that or have it ride the manifold at 1,000 degrees, so I elected for that.
Chevrolets are good cars, that's all I can tell you. They're good cars.
I think the only piece of trim I'm missing is a few of the door locks and then that bottom window trim right there that wraps around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's missing. That's it. And I do have some pieces in the trunk, like my windshield wiper. I think one of my wipers is in the trunk.
I know that was a futile effort. It don't work.
The wipers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never.
That was
I didn't make the wipers work.
That was futile.
Threw some Rain-X on the...
Did that worked, didn't it?
Yeah, that Rain-X actually does work.
Yeah, I used that Rain-X. Well, you're a lucky man.
I've had a few of those comments, you know.
I guess the radio's a futile effort.
No radio.
I can't believe it made it. I'm happy it made it. But boy, I tell you, you'd have thought that over a period of miles it would have wore the tires out.
It must be aligned decent then, because
Yeah.
it didn't eat them up.
It's a good car.
Yeah, it's a good car.
It's really a good car.
How's it smell?
Old. But if you'd have changed it, the tranny would have went.
Yeah, that's about the result you'd have got.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have changed it thinking you're doing the car a big favor, and you got about 200 miles down the road and the tranny would have let loose.
Guarantee it.
Oh man. You got all the stuff to get it home. Look, none of it fell out on the ground. Or did it?
No, I don't think so. Not that I know of.
I mean, the car's pretty clean, you know? I mean, the car's really clean, to tell you the truth.
As old as it is, all things considered, I'd say it's pretty dang clean.
No cop stopped you?
No. Not a one. And I passed by a few.
I'd say a lot of this damage came from setting up there in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'd say that this car didn't have none of this on it when it got there. This car wasn't treated bad.
I don't think it was either.
Yeah, I think it was little old Matilda May's car.
I want to fix the tail lights. I want to see why the bearing on the rear driver's side tire was getting hot. Rim and the backing plate was just radiating heat. Maybe we can figure out why the wipers weren't working. The carburetor is running rough even though I've had it apart twice. Let's see what we can do about some of that. Hear it? Listen. This is idle, but if I give it some gas, listen how it picks up. Put it in gear. Dies at idle almost, shakes a lot. It's idling crappy. I don't want to take the carburetor off again. I will if I have to, but there's a few things that I can check before I resort to that. I can check the dwell on the points. I can set the timing. I did put new points in it. I only set them very crudely. I didn't set them exactly how they need to be set. And I have this tool right here. It's a really old school tool that's gonna actually measure the dwell in degrees. The vacuum advance isn't hooked up, and there's also a vacuum that goes down to the transmission that's not hooked up. The transmission doesn't change how the motor runs, but it corrects the shift point basically. This is an old diagnostic tool. Dwell is set in degrees. If you look at that, you can see 40, 30, 20, 10 degrees. It should be at 30 degrees dwell. As you hook the positive to the negative side of the coil and the negative to the negative on the car. How you adjust the dwell is GM has this cute little door right there on the distributor. You see that door that leads into a black abyss? And you can actually adjust the points while the car is running, which is pretty cool. We're at 30 degrees exactly. So when I turn that key with this Allen head, watch the degrees change. Alright, so I'm turning it in. See how it went above 30? Turning it in more. I'm going to crank it out. We're closer to 30. We're at pretty much 30. I never did hook up the vacuum advance. Watch, I'll show you here. I was going to buy a new one from AutoZone or O'Reilly. It was like $33. I thought, well, I'll just test mine. And when I suck on the end of this hose, check it out. See that? That thing's working. There you go. There's a T right here, and the T off goes to the vacuum advance and to, see that stem? That stem goes down to the transmission. So we'll hook both of those up, and we'll start it up and see where our timing's at and play with that a little bit. So we're not even showing the mark. I hooked the vacuum advance up and I hooked the hose that goes down to the transmission. Also did the timing, did the dwell, tried to adjust the carburetor a little more. So it's the next day now. I took this over to my dad's last night and we were fiddling with it, and I think we got it pretty good now. So let's listen to it. Starts up really nice, sounds really good, no misses anymore. Listen to that. She's running like a Swiss watch now. Messed around with the carburetor, messed around with the timing, took all the spark plugs out yesterday, gapped them right, cleaned them, and don't gotta take the carburetor off. I'm satisfied with the way it runs now. Sounds, I mean, really perfect. Not even vibrating, nothing at all. You could balance a friggin' nickel on that thing. We're gonna move on from this now, and I'm gonna move on to this back bearing, okay? It's real easy. So there's 4 bolts that hold this axle on to the backing plate, and they all came off to my great jubilee. Oh, it's coming out easier than I thought it was gonna. Just gotta get that. There we go. That wasn't too terrible bad, to be honest. So here's the bearing, and honestly, it's not in bad shape. It's not making any noise. It's not wobbly. You know, I can't hear anything grinding in there. So watch closely, because I'm going to pull what you would call a tactic. It made it 2,500 miles that way, and only after 600 miles a day was it getting warm. So, you know, driving just around town, it'll be fine. So what I'm going to do to help this thing out, I'm not going to replace this because you're just going to dig yourself into a deeper hole. This is a grease fitting that's a needle. Just lift the lip of this up, not poke a hole in it. I'll grease the inside of this bearing. 1 pump, 2 pumps. All right, gave her almost 3 pumps. I want to move on now to the wiper motor. You can't put a socket on these. You have to get them with something, and I'm just using snap rings. There's a notch on either side of this, and if you're suave enough, you can get them loose with some snap rings. Can't believe I got that on the first try. So then they'll come loose along with those screws, and you can take this cover off and get to the wiper motor stuff. What am I missing? There we go. So I know it's hard to see, but there's 4 bolts that hold this motor in. 2 of them I got loose. The other 2 I had to drill out and tap. But I want to get this arm off. This is the arm that swings around to move the wipers, and there's a nut on it, and I got to heat it up and get it loose. Hey. Filming? Yeah.
What are you doing?
Trying to heat this bolt up.
That's white hot.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to get in front of that one. Once she gets nice and hot, we'll crack her. Easy peasy. Man, it smells like fajitas. Come on. What a menagerie that thing is. Train going by, sorry, but so this is it. It's a pretty high dollar little motor. I don't know what these are if you wanted to buy one on eBay, but it's a 2-speed. Some of them came with a single speed, and not only is it a 2-speed, but see, I was wondering how that vacuum water squirter on the window worked. That's an option. And there's no port on the motor, you know, on the intake that runs any of that vacuum stuff. So I was like, okay, I didn't know how that windshield washer fluid stuff worked. Whatever it's doing to pull the vacuum is probably going on right here. But yeah, I want to dig into this, get this thing working, and maybe even the windshield washer fluid might work if we're lucky. Right now I'm going to put this cowl back on, set it on, maybe put 1 screw in it. I'm going to take this thing to her very first car show since she's been back in Tucson. Finally put the hubcaps on it, and I never did clean up these white walls. You know how when they come, they have that blue film on them? I never did clean that. I just was so busy trying to get out of New Jersey that I just ran with it, but look at those white walls shine like a brand new penny. That's a nice looking car, man. Oh yeah, with the fresh hubcaps and the white walls all shined up and everything. She is looking car show ready. There's a weekly cruise-in / car show. It's at a chain called Freddy's Steak Burgers. A lot of people in the Midwest probably know that chain. Well, when that Freddy's opened, we started having this car show there. So every car I've ever had, I drive there.
Hi.
This is my wife, Emily.
I like the car's dash. It's very futuristic. It's very space age. And it's your favorite color of teal.
This is probably my favorite color they had in 59 and 60. I think it's called Tasco Turquoise.
Yeah, just the way that everything's shaped, like the lines and very space agey. Like the Jetsons. Yeah, just like the Jetsons. I like it. Some of the trucks and cars that Travis has brought home, when we ride in them, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they ride like a log wagon.
This is nice. It's like riding in a couch.
And this is our other friend Jerry's car. He makes some cool stuff. He's really into rat rods. He fabricates all these, the bars and the framing, builds his own motors, does his own decals. He puts all this stuff together himself, fabricates it, or if he finds it, all this roll cage, and he uses this stuff. Yeah, it's no trailer queen, he uses it. I think these taillights are off of some 50s car. I don't know exactly what, but I love the pinstriping is cool. I like pinstriping. Let's go eat. Notice anything different about this? It's friggin' suicide doors. They didn't come from the factory like that. I wonder how much work it took to put the hinges on the other side of that thing.
It's like ketchup and mustard.
Emily said it's like ketchup and mustard. They go good together forever and ever, right? 257 Chevy Bel Airs.
Like peas and carrots.
Like peas and carrots. Our crew of everyone we hang out with every week, everybody loves a good steak burger from Freddy's though. Okay, so it's the next day. We have this wiper motor off, and I want to be careful with this because these are not cheap. It's all complete, and I just want to make it work. I want to make this thing work. Over here we have the connectors. So these right here are for the wiper or washer fluid accessory. These right here are for your wiper motor functions. And when I hook power up to them, nothing happens. You can see a little bit of sparks coming off, but like this thing is froze up, and I'm sure we can get it working again. I can hear the motor in there. Like it's trying, but it's stuck. That's all there is to it. Hey. Oh, where'd you get? Dad brought me a lens for my tail light. Where you found it somewhere?
Uh-huh.
Hey.
I had an extra.
All right. All right, so tell me what you know about these things.
Oh, that's a little different. Boy, it's greased up good.
Yeah, so you're saying this big gear?
That's the one that was stuck in both of my cars.
This is the wiper motor function, the washer
Yeah,
fluid?
That's what pumps it. They never worked.
Yeah.
No. You can buy the kit to rebuild them.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a little piston in there that it just sucks it and spits it.
So this Phillips head is not coming out and it's starting to round off. I cannot get it out no matter what size Phillips I put on it. Instead of rounding it out, I'm just going to make it a flat head. That was ridiculous. I don't want to have to do that again. What a little complex machine. Yeah, that grease is hardened up. I wonder if I touch that motor, if it'll spin now. I've never taken one of these apart, and I don't know if I would want to again. This is really complicated. So it was kind of cool when I popped the cap off of this washer fluid pump assembly. You can still see old crystallized washer fluid. Alright, so it's the next day, and I was able to put most of this motor back together. I took all of this apart. I put grease in it. This worm gear works. I was able to get the 2 speeds out of it. All this should be working now. The only thing I have to fix is that washer sprayer section of this working, but the gear is stuck. I can't get it unstuck, so we'll have to revisit that in a second. We'll move on for now, but I will get it straightened out. These selector knobs do move, but if you look under here, these cables are loose. See that? I'm gonna put these back in their holders, tighten them down, and we'll see if we have the functions, because what happens is after so much time, these will sort of get rusted inside here, and then they won't move. So we'll see if they move. All right, so they're back in their placeholders now. You can see this one. And we turn our fan on. You can feel a little bit of air coming out here, but not really. And then when you turn the air on, you can hear how it changes, and you can feel a lot more air coming out of there. I got the clock out, and I mean, these really aren't made to be serviced, but we're gonna do it anyway. What happens is those gears just get stuck, you know. So this is crimped on the housing, so you gotta sort of get in there, and there it is. For 1960, this is a very complicated little machine. I got a toothpick here. Lube up these gears. So I got the clock working. She's sitting here doing her thing. Little gears in there are moving. It just needed a little bit of lube, and this gear right here needed a little bit of convincing. So here's like a time lapse of it working. You can see the clock ticking, but you can see that gear there constantly spinning, wearing down the spring tension, and that bar right there in the back is sort of going back to its original position. And once it gets back to its original position, which is like all the way down, set of contacts close, giving it power, re-ratcheting up the spring tension so that gear in the front can keep on using it constantly. But this is the coolest part. So it's all together, looks good. The back is my favorite part, where you can see the factory stampings where, you know, it says made in USA. And what's cool is you can see who it was made by. West Clocks of LaSalle, Illinois. West Clocks actually made clocks for houses, like plug-in clocks and stuff. And you can see that factory 59 stamping. It was probably made in 59 for the 60 model year. Alright, so now that we got the clock done, I've been working on the radio because the radio wasn't working. So the speaker is up there, and I took the speaker out. And this is the speaker that was in it. Just, you know, you're never gonna get anything out of that. So cut the wires off, and I have a new speaker, and I'm using the original pigtail. So I got that wired up, and I also put a new antenna on it because the old one was broke off. This is the original one. It's nice and stout. I wish they didn't break the antenna right off the base of it, but renders it pretty much useless. Just like that. Hear that? I hear it. Listen. I got the volume all the way up, and it's really faint still. So I'm gonna back out and raise the antenna up and see if we can get better reception, because these AM radios, they get real bad reception under awnings and bridges. Give her the best chance possible. Put her all the way up to the sky. Yeah, it's working. Really quiet. Maybe I give it a little tap or something, I don't know. Does that work on these? Back in the day, you're just supposed to hit everything. So either way, I'm pretty sure I got the radio as good as we're gonna get it without sending it off to be rebuilt. I think we can move on to the next problem. So now I'm working on the dome lights because I want those to work, and I put new bulbs in them. The old ones, the filaments were burnt out. I could see them, and this wasn't doing anything. This is your little thing that whenever you open the door, this button pops out, you know. It's got a bad ground because when you wiggle it, there we go. Now I'm moving on to the speedometer while I have kind of the dash apart, fixing the clock and whatnot, because the speedometer was screeching really bad when I first started driving this in New Jersey, and the speedometer needle was doing all kinds of crazy things. So I'm going to take it apart, lube it up, see if I can, you know, get it working again. And if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this type of content. All right, guys. Well, I think we've ran into the first thing that I just don't think I'm going to be able to reconcile, and that is the speedometer. Before I unhooked this speedometer back in New Jersey, if you'll remember, this thing was screeching, making all kinds of noise, and what I remember is this needle, it was going, and then it would just keep going, and keep going, and keep going, and it was just doing all kinds of wild stuff. Well, it had some ramifications back here in this little area. Let me see if I can show you. See that spring right there? There's that copper rod, and then there's that spring. That spring got really messed up, and it lost its factory setting basically. You can sort of see from here, I'm turning the needle, and you can see how that spring in there is see it? How it's all messed up. I don't think I'm able to fix that, because when I turn this, the odometer does count, so the odometer works, but I don't think we're gonna have a working speedometer, guys. There's two screws that go in here, and when you adjust them, it moves your headlights, and they're broke. So my headlights are pointing all kinds of crazy directions, and these plastic pieces, you know, they get brittle over time, they break, they bust. Even though I don't have the clips in the mail yet, I can still go ahead and drill these old pop rivets out so that it's all nice, clean, and ready for the new clips when they do come in the mail. And I can move on to something else in the meantime. Alright, so I want to just continue to be as delicate as I can with this. Before I put it on and it's gone forever, you can see right there where it says Delco Appliance, Rochester, New York, made in USA, right there at the bottom. The only reason this beast will live again is because of those words, made in USA. Let's see, I think it's pointed this way, yeah. Come on. Got one in. Oh man, this thing is really heavy. Got my arms hooked up and everything, so I'm gonna hook the battery up, and I'm gonna try the switch, and we'll see if it works. Nothing. Oh, wait. Maybe if I do key on power. It's going. It's working. I see it. Speed number 2. Oh. Yeah. Yes. Successful surgery, dude. That's awesome. Before I turn it off, the special thing about these wipers in general is that when you turn it off, it's not supposed to just turn off wherever you turn it off, right? Because you notice how whatever position you turn your wipers off in, they always go back down to their original position. So there's mechanisms in there that are supposed to turn it off when it's down at its original position and not just stop wherever you shut it off at. So let's see if it does that. So hold on. Off. Perfect. It works absolutely perfect. And I don't have any water hooked up to my my wiper, but maybe I can hear it work. I'm scared of them. I heard it working. So this is the original washer fluid bottle, and I'm gonna reuse it, but it has like a tear right here. I don't know if you can see right here. There's a crack in it, but other than that, I mean, it's usable. You can actually see this dust right here. This is old washer fluid, so it's kind of cool. So I got some of this seal all. It's like gas tank sealer, plastic sealer from O'Reilly's, and I don't know, we'll see what it does. We'll see if it works. Because yeah, all the other options for the washer fluid bottles are hokey. They kind of look hokey in my opinion. I like the original, looks good. But then again, I am a purist. I like everything original, so we'll just, you know, kind of wipe it down, squirt some of it on there. Ooh, it's kind of liquidy. Kind of wipe it in there, you know what I mean? There we go. And I also got some new hose right here to redo the rubber hoses that carry the water to the little tiny washer nozzles. So while that's drying, I'll go ahead and put these new hoses on and we'll see if it actually squirts water. And the reason I'm so excited to make this work is because if you go on eBay and look at what a core one of these is, a core that doesn't work, a non-known good that you gotta restore, is $320 to $350. And a remanufactured one, like one someone's taken apart, made working, all that, is at least 600 bucks. So this little item right here, working in good working order, is at least a $600 item, which is insane. You're definitely about to try this. I'm excited. And Dad wants to come over too. He's like, he's all jazzed up about it.
Might want to turn it upside down and pour some water in it.
Yeah, he just trying. Ah, it's trying. See it? Hold on. It ain't working. Yeah, I need those new rubbers. So next thing I want to move on to is this heater core, which I'm not looking forward to, because if you remember when I was on the road, it was the first problem I had. I put a new radiator cap on it, which, you know, held more pressure. You know, it was a new cap, and since it held more pressure in, the heater core gave way and started dripping. I'm hoping it comes out from the front like that. So this thing is about to come out. It's friggin' hooked to everything on the car, and I'm trying not to break those defroster hoses because they're really delicate and they're original and they're in place. So I kind of got them loosened up on the pipes that come out of the heater. So I'm trying to be easy with it. I've taken out 10,000 screws. There can't be nothing else holding it in there. I got my pry bar on it, but good Lord. Oh my gosh. So now it's about to fall out, like literally, so. Okay, all in one piece, real easy. Whew, let's get out of here. Whoo-wee, there she is. Let's set her on the trunk or something, good Lord. All right, so here's your heater core. It's like a little mini radiator. Look at this. Approved inspection 144. That's pretty cool. Factory inspection sticker. This car is truly unmolested, never been apart. I love this car. This is so cool. Every more and more I dig into this car, more I like it. You have your heater control valve in there. It's hard to see, but you pull a knob on your dash and it changes that heater control valve to dump more or less heat into the heater core to control your heat. How well they worked, I don't know. I mean, I guess they worked, but I don't know how well they really worked. Trying it up out of there. Seeing if it works. I have this heater core submerged in water. This is the tricky thing about these, where if you put it in and hook it up, you'll think you're golden, right? But sometimes they'll only leak hot or under pressure, because when the system gets warm, it pressurizes. So if I'm putting air through this, You watch right here. Not a lot. Then when the car gets warm, there's more pressure. See those bubbles? There's your leak. But then when the pressure goes down, no more leak. You have to simulate it actually being, you know, warm in the car. Oh, I think we have another leak. There's a leak over here now too. It's somewhere right there. So there's where I soldered it. It's not the prettiest, but if it holds, it holds. Not getting any bubbles anywhere, so I'm happy with that. You know, I like to fix all this factory stuff if I can because most of it's fixable, and one, it's very expensive to replace, just like this heater core right here. You can go buy another heater core, but the hole right here that this heater valve bolts into, there's a hole in that heater core where it slides in. That is not on other heater cores. You know, if you buy a new one, it's not going to fit right and it's not going to have that hole. You can't put the heater control valve back in, regardless of how well it worked or not. And I did find like a factory replacement one of these, but it was like 320 bucks, so it's just like crazy. So I spent a few hours on it, saved myself 300 and some odd bucks. For what it's worth, even though we don't use heaters a lot in Arizona, it's just principle. It's just about the principle to me of fixing it. But I do believe in talking about your mistakes too. You know, I'm not just Mr. Fix Everything and never have any mistakes. You remember how I had this piece of trim right here? So if you will remember, this curved piece of trim on the back glass was missing over on this side, but I did find it in the trunk. All right, so this was the only piece of trim that I have that's missing, and I found it in the trunk. And the other day, I went to go look for it. It was not there. So I was pretty upset that I lost this piece of trim. I said, how could this happen? You know, there's a big old rust hole in the trunk that it probably fell through. And I was right. I was riding my bike around in my neighborhood and I found that piece of trim. Oh yes, I found it. But it's been ran over about 10,000 times. So I don't know if I can save that. It will never look right even if I did pound it out. So there's no use crying over spilled milk, but sometimes I cry over spilled milk, man, you know? God. So we are back in business. We have the blower motor fan resistor hooked up. This gives you your different speeds. We got the door hooked up right here that controls your heat vent right there. We got the nicely preserved defrost ducts hooked up. There's also a cable in here that controls the heater control valve. That's hooked up. It's all bolted back together. I got my heater hoses hooked back up, and I don't know, I want to say these are the originals because it says Dayco heater hose 5/8. I don't know. These look very factory to me. If they're not, they're very early replacements. I want to put the trunk lock on. This is going to take a little bit of effort because, I mean, this was totally unnecessary. I don't know why they did this. All you got to do is drill it out. But instead of doing that, they bent it up. I mean, they just tore this hole completely up. But maybe I can heat it up, bend it back. Alright, well, we got it in, we got it bent out as good as we can. I'd say that doesn't look too terrible bad. I didn't want to keep bending on this because it's like a tab, and I don't want to break it. They tore it up so bad. I'm scared I'm going to break a piece of that off. So yeah, I did the best I could, and yeah, it's nice and tight in there. It's not all loose and wobbly. So yeah, I'd say that was a successful mission. I got this lock in and it's all working and stuff, so there we go. Phone cut out because it was too hot. So I finished up the welding and I put it back in. You can see those spot welds right there where I welded it, screwed it back into the track, and now we have a window that works. It wouldn't go up all the way before. It would hang up like right there. It wouldn't go up. But now she goes up all the way. Just shut it. There you go. Got yourself a working window. So I'm chasing down the electrical problem that I've been having with this car. I put my new headlight switch in and I still don't have key off power to my dome lights. See that? How I don't have power, and then I do, and then I don't. So this connector right here is junk. So I'll put a new connector on it and I'll sand that off, and that should fix our problem. So when I touch this to that, I should get dome lights. There you go. All right, we can put it back together now. So we're coming down the home stretch on where I want this 60 Impala to be. I'm working on the headlights right now, and I had to take these two headlight buckets off to get these on, but I got the headlight retainers in that screw in and out for your adjustment. Boom, boom. I got the ones in over here. Boom, 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 boom. I'm about to put the headlights in and the trim back on. And the last thing that I want to do to this car is, well, two of these hubcaps keep falling off, so I might just bend the tongs out so they fit in there tighter, because even at like 5 miles an hour they come off, but that's not a big deal. I want to put exhaust on the car. I have these Flowmaster Flow FXs that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace, and if I take the mufflers down to this shop in town, they said they'll do the exhaust with my mufflers for 450 bucks, which is not bad considering the place I usually take my cars to said that they would do it for 600, which is like, I don't know, seems kind of high for me supplying the mufflers. And then I feel that I've taken the car as far as I personally want to take it. I guess the best way to describe what I feel I'm doing here to this car specifically is preservation instead of restoration. I'm making all the factory stuff work as it should. If I were to go any further, like, you know, if you want to put new rubbers on it or if you wanted to paint it, well, then you're looking at a full restoration, and that's like a whole different ball game, you know what I mean? So it's like a fine line, you know, of where I'm trying to walk. It's like in the perfect condition to drive it, to enjoy it, to not worry about parking it somewhere and getting it dinged up, worry about the seats, worry about stains, but it's just like got the cool look. Like, it's got the cool factor, but you don't have to worry about driving it. I'm gonna see if I can do a little bit of paint restoration on this 1960 Impala. I sort of thought it was a lost cause until I found this out. This is crazy. The driver's side of the car looked like this with these rust lines going down it, and I use a 000 steel wool from Walmart to clean that off. And the other side now looks like this. You can see no lines. So it looked like this. The passenger side looked just like the driver's side. All these lines running down, and this side looks terrible. Now it looks so much better. Now here's the interesting part. The roof and the trunk, I'm like, well, those are lost causes. That's just rust. The paint is gone now. Like, that's just the metal of the trunk. Well, I scrubbed it with this, and I got that beneath this. And this is what's even cooler. I used this pad on the roof, and you can see that's white. the roof of this used to be white, just like the stripe going down the side of the roof. So I'm kind of excited right now because I thought this was just, the paint was gone. Like this is the metal of the roof. But I'm gonna take this DA with 400 grit sandpaper and I'm gonna go over this trunk and let's see if we can bring it back, because man, wouldn't that make the car look so much. We're back to the roof, and the roof is going to be the tough job because I'm grinding on this with 400, which is a little rough, and it's still not wanting to give it up. But it's just a tedious process that takes time. I mean, you just cannot rush it, because if you rush it and you grind on it after you get to the white, then you'll knock the white off and get to the metal. So once you hit the white, just move on to the next portion, you know. And there's a few spots even where I knocked the white off and I got down to the red primer underneath in a few small spots. So yeah, even I burned through it in a few places. But yeah, it's like you can't bake a cake in twice the temperature and get it in half the time kind of thing. So some things just are tedious no matter how good you are. Still not done yet, fine tuning it. I still haven't done, you know, this side of the car, and I got some finer grit sandpaper to sort of get some of this off, like, you know, these rusty spots without going through. I burned through the paint in a few areas, so there's only so much you're gonna do with it because it's all speckled. See this? This is rust I can take off, but this red right here under the white, that's the red primer under there. So that's what they used to prime it before they put the paint on. Nothing you can do about that. So we'll do the best we can with this, and that'll be it. So it's Thursday morning. I'm pretty stoked. We're at Exhaust Works here on Fort Lowell in Tucson. Got the car. I don't even think I've showed you guys what the car really looks like since I finished the paint correction, I guess you could call it. But look at that. Isn't that nice? I mean, dude, it looks like a freaking car now. Two-tone. Dude, so much better, so much better. I love it. Man, she's looking righteous now. Righteous. So I'm gonna pop the mufflers out of the trunk, put it in the back seat for them. But let me show you how it sounds. Sounds like, you know, sloppy. It sounds sloppy is what it sounds like. So they had an issue with the manifolds on my car. He's already busted the manifolds off because the studs are so rusted that he basically just broke them all off. You can see a few of them right here. He can reuse the driver's side one. He heated it up and got the studs out of the driver's side one, but the passenger side one's really bad. So this is my factory one. See, the bolts just bam, bam, snap. Well, this one didn't, but that one snapped off. And it's got a heat riser in it, which we're gonna delete because heat risers, we don't need them in the warm country. My dad always comes to the rescue, right, every time. He's got another manifold, and this one's in a lot better shape. It's got all the studs on it, so we're gonna put this manifold on my car, ditch this one, and everything will be well with the world. All right, we are back in the morning at the Exhaust Works here on Fort Lowell in Tucson. pick up the car. Have not heard it yet. It's my first time seeing it. They ran them out the back. Looks like, oh cool, they put the big old mounts on it. Looks good. Oh yeah. Looks real good. There's the Flowmaster. Flow FX is on there. Let's pop the hood on this thing. So this is Dad's manifold that he handily had, and they put the blank heat riser in there, so got rid of the heat riser because we don't really need them out here in Arizona anyway. Coming over to the other side, you can see they put the new donut in and ran it all down. Yeah.
He even put a spacer on there between that, getting rid of that, this quality, man. He got rid of that heat riser and put a spacer in there.
Right, a blank, he said.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
You got dualies?
Yeah, dualies.
Nice.
I'll have Dad start it so I can listen to it from the back here. I don't know what these sound like. I've only seen what YouTube videos show, so we'll see. Oh. Stop it. Now how in the world that belt got hung up on that hose clamp, I have no idea, but we got to get it off of that. Good thing I caught that. We would have burned right through my belt. That belt almost wore a hole in my dang radiator hose. We're gonna have to tighten that. I'll put the mic over here and see if you can listen to it. I mean, I'm standing right here, and the only thing you can really hear is like the turning of the generator and the turning of the power steering pump, barely. That is just one sweet running motor, man, I'll tell you. I love this car. I like this car a lot. And coming in and checking out the clock, it says it's like 10:15 right now, 10:16. It's really like 10:33. So the clock is running a little slow, but I don't see a way to adjust it on the knob here. Yeah, usually they'll have an adjustment. These mechanical clocks have like fast or slow. You can turn it to make it run faster or slower. I'll show you. So if we come over to my 56 Caddy, it has a factory clock in it. Not only can you like change the actual time, but you see how there's a piece in the middle that doesn't move? That you can put a screwdriver right in there, and you can actually turn that piece in the middle right here. And you can see the S and F, slow, fast. You could actually adjust the internal of the clock to run slower or faster, and the reason you would want to do that is because these are actual mechanical clocks. If you look in my last episode when I repaired the clock in the 60, I took it all apart. It's like all mechanical, like an actual watch. The temperature expands or contracts the springs and the gears in there, and it changes how fast it runs. Sometimes you have to adjust that to account for like your ambient air temperatures. I'm also going to see what I can do about putting this headliner up. I got some like baling wire, and I'm just going to wrap it, you know, poke it through the fabric and over the ribs that go over the top of the roof and then over the other one, and just, I don't know, kind of try and get it up out of my head. Yeah, well, there you go. Upholstery guys sew with needle and thread, and mechanics sew with baling wire. It'll hold for now. You know, it's good enough. Better than replacing it. So at least it's out of my head. That was the main thing. At least it's out of my head. So at this point, I have a real treat for you. This is a rare occurrence, rare occasion. They are having a 1929 Ford tri-motor plane at the Tucson International Airport that you can take rides on. This is Henry Ford's sort of pet project for civilian air travel, which really wasn't popular in the 20s and the early 30s. He kind of helped pioneer, you know, the idea of civilian air travel. So we're going to take the Impala. I'm going to pick Dad up. We're going to go down to the Tucson International Airport, and we are going to see, I think, one of the only surviving and restored tri-motor Ford planes in existence. There's Dad. Oh, where's he going? Where is he going? Is he lost? What you doing?
Well, I'm getting ready to go ride a Ford plane.
So in about 1925, Ford bought the Stout Metal Airplane Company. And from 1925 to 1933, he built 199 of these. I think 18 still exist and only 5 are airworthy. This one's been restored. She's just now shutting her engines off. Wow, soak that in. Ain't that cool? Look at that, the Ford tri-motor. And right next to the tri-motor, you got sort of the finer side of life, the people that get to pull up to their jets in their cars and ride up on the tarmac. When this plane was first introduced, it was regarded as a quantum leap over other airliners. It was very advanced for its time. A company called Transcontinental Air Transport began buying these for some of the first use in coast-to-coast transport of people. These tri-motors were also used extensively by Pan Am Airways to transport people from Key West to Havana. But even though more advanced airliners came out, these planes flew commercially into the 60s. Classic Ford always made a reliable product. That must be the mechanical levers for, you know, the controls of the plane and the rudder and the wings and whatnot. I'm guessing, because it goes into that hole there on the wing, and probably. Look, you can see the plate there. Ford Stout Metal Airplane Co., division of Ford Motor Company, Dearborn, Michigan. Wow, that is really something to see, man. That really is something to see. How cool. So obviously they didn't have jet airplanes yet. This is a radial engine, like a car with pistons, except instead of the pistons being in a line, they're in a big circle. So apparently there was no fuel gauge on these, and he is checking the fuel level with a stick, which is where we now get the term dipstick from, which is kind of interesting. I didn't even know you could do this, but he is going to be the co-pilot. You could have paid extra and sit in the co-pilot seat. Here we go.
Welcome to history.
Thank you, sir.
Well, yeah. These two say not to occupy.
Oh, not to occupy? Check out the details, though, on the wood.
But you want right there? We can go up.
This will be okay.
Look at that. Forward on the steering wheel. Isn't that wild, seeing that in an airplane? So here you are. And there's your motor. It's right there. You can see on each seat they have a light switch. Courtesy light.
That was here this morning.
That's really cool. There he goes. There it goes, man. What do you think about this? You think it's pretty cool?
This is really interesting. 100-year-old technology. Look, and this is, I was just looking at this when they told us a story about how whenever you could take a cross-country flight, you'd have to take a train, you'd pick up this plane, it would land in the Rockies, you'd get on a train, and then you'd get on another one on the other side of the Rockies.
Dude, he's gonna put his elbow out the window. Look at those old joysticks. Those old throttle controls, or those joysticks up there, all that old technology. Look at that propeller right in front of your face. Oh, Dad's messing with the vent. Does it work? Does the vent work? I don't think so. that this thing flies at such low altitude that, you know, you can just be open to the air. I mean, you could never be open to the atmosphere on a new commercial flight. We're hitting the tarmac now. There it goes. Dad noticed these gauges on top of the engine, and I did read about these. The reason why they're outside and not inside is because in classic Ford fashion, it was cheaper to mount them outside than it was to run all the wiring inside the cockpit. All right, we're on our way out. What'd you think about that flight?
That was very fun. It was very, very enjoyable. Very nice of them to put it on.
Yeah.
Had a good time.
I think they restored that. That whoever owns that, they restored that plane. Mm-hmm. And then they fly it out. There's only, I think she said there's 5 left that fly. But not all of them give tours. So 5 fly, but they're owned by museums, and they just fly them to keep them in service. They don't fly them like for people like what we just did. But one thing I need to do is put this neutral safety switch in, because the old one just crumpled in my hands. I mean, literally, the other night I shifted it and it just fell on the floor. So you can see some pieces of the plastic on the ground right there. It goes right here. I've been having to hot wire the car because it just totally busted. And I'm gonna take these out. I think there's a couple screws back here. Put this one in, plug it in, and we should be good to go. And another thing that I'm kind of hoping comes in the mail today, I've been waiting for it for a while, is this, the license plate door. There's springs right here that are supposed to flip it back up. I've been having to put a rock under it to wedge it because it keeps falling down. I actually got pulled over on the way to the airplane ride yesterday because of that. Well, something cool came to the P.O. box. I've been in talks with a subscriber about this. His name is Michael. He's from North Carolina, and I was able to purchase this radio from him. This is a factory original radio that he has restored, because you guys know how mine plays, but it plays really dim, and I don't know how to restore radios, transistors, tubes. I don't know how to do that. So he's been restoring tube radios for many, many years, and he restored this one, and so I was able to buy it from him, and it just came in. So I'm super excited about this. So apparently these radios are hybrid transistor and tube type radios. So let's get this sucker in, and maybe we can cruise around and listen to some tunes finally. Antenna's plugged in, speaker's plugged in, power's plugged in, key on. All right, let's try it. Here goes nothing. Gotta give it a second to warm up, I guess. Still don't hear anything. Something isn't right. So I've been doing a little bit of testing, and listen.
Many of the people you meet, and this may have been
Radio works
exactly
great,
your
nice
frame
and
of
loud.
mind before you entered
Works
into
really
this
good.
relationship.
My headlight switch, right? The headlight switch turns the radio on and off.
Where you have to go to all the different
That shouldn't be how it is.
in New Hampshire.
When I turn off my taillights, the radio goes off. What I think he did, this is just maybe by accident, there's two wires that feed the radio. One is for the little light in the radio, for like when you turn your taillights on and stuff at night, the light comes on. And then there's a constant power wire that the radio always has power, and then the radio turns on when you turn the knob on. I think he might have internally switched those around. Okay, so what I did, instead of cutting the original pigtail and putting, you know, connectors on these, I just made up a couple of wires with some connectors and spades, and I just reversed where the power went. And now when I do the headlights, the light comes on. I had to reverse where the power was going, but it's good now. Well, a subscriber named Norbert was so nice enough to send me one. He said, I scroll the aisles of this junkyard, I pull stuff off and sell it on eBay, and I found this piece of trim. It's not something I would normally pull off, so I'll just go ahead and send it to you. So Norbert, thank you for sending me this piece of trim. It's going to go right on the car. So the car will be 100% trim complete. This just came in the mail, my license plate door. So what happens is no more rock. Falls down, nothing. This one's bolted, but the original one is riveted, or however they did it, so we're gonna have to wait a minute. Let me just check and see if there's nuts on the other side. Oh, it's nutted. Hooray! I was about to go to town on that thing. Easy. Easiest thing I've done to this car since I bought it. There. Put the plate on and we're good to go. I do believe I have this sold to a gentleman in Mesa. He gave me a deposit and he's going to be picking it up Monday, supposedly. I mean, if you give a deposit, you're usually pretty serious, right? So he's going to pick this up on Monday. The saga has officially concluded with the Impala. This is such a cool car, and this is one of his dream cars, he said. So he's getting a good car. This is just a solid ride. And now I have to meet up with him to sell it. This has been such a cool car. I love this thing. It got me across the country. Good old Chevy power. Old 283 with a 2-speed power glide. This thing is a sweet car. Yeah, that's a cool name. I think somebody with the name Gunner should own this. So Gunner and his wife, they just bought this, and he's younger than me. I'm 26, he's 24. I think it's cool that a young couple bought it. Yeah, man. And they're up in Mesa. And they're just gonna go enjoy the car. So I'm super stoked. It's going to a good home, gonna enjoy it. That's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? Keep them on the road, keeping them driving. Don't let them sit, don't let them go to waste, you know what I mean? There it is, it's back on the road. It's gonna be enjoyed for years to come. That's the whole point.